So, after a lot of thought, I've decided to try something a little different for this video. Don't worry, I'm not completely abandoning the classic romance recaps you know and love, but today I'm taking a page out of the playbooks of creators like Grief and Chris. If you're familiar with their style, you know exactly the kind of energy we're bringing to the table. I want to see how this format lands, so I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments, but enough yapping. Let's dive into today's manga that is titled Boys of the Dead, and as the name suggests, it draws heavy inspiration from classic zombie cinema. Personally, my favorite film of the genre has always been Dawn of the Dead, but I'm curious, which one do you guys swear by? Drop your favorite zombie flick in the comments below. Now, let's get into the recap. Inside a small roadside store, a radio quietly reports that several highways have been blocked due to ongoing incidents. Although Highway 66 is expected to reopen later that day, it is already 2 a.m. and the store owner prepares to close for the night. Sundays are usually silent at this hour, no customers, no movement. So when the door suddenly opens and someone walks in, the owner immediately feels that something is wrong. A man approaches the counter and asks for a car battery, explaining that he had to push his car all the way here after it stopped working. The owner agrees to help and begins looking for the battery. The man then asks if the store has anything to eat. The owner casually replies that there are chili dogs and cheeseburgers available. The man pauses for a moment, unfamiliar with the term, then decides that a chili dog will be fine. But as he says it, he strangely adds that we will take it. The owner notices the odd wording and wonders who else he is talking about. A moment later, a small boy appears nearby and quietly says that he also wants a chili dog, along with a chocolate bar. The man explains that the child is his younger brother, and while he goes outside to install the battery in the car, the boy will stay inside and eat. The boy begins eating the chocolate bar while sitting at the counter. The store owner watches him carefully, noticing that the child seems nervous and unusually quiet. Trying to comfort him, the owner tells him not to rush and that there is plenty of food if he wants more. Suddenly, the boy starts laughing in a strange, unsettling way. Then, he looks directly at the owner and asks him to observe carefully. Does the man outside really look like his brother? The boy calmly reveals the truth. The man isn't his brother at all. He has been keeping him captive. We are then shown the boy's past. The scene shifts to an abandoned store where the boy, William, is desperately searching for medicine. His hand is already injured and bleeding. As he looks toward the entrance, he suddenly notices something standing outside the door, a zombie. Moments later, the creature crashes through the shutter and forces its way inside. William immediately runs, panic taking over as he moves deeper into the building. Around him, several bodies lie scattered across the floor, lifeless for now, but possibly waiting to turn into zombies at any moment. While running, William notices a car nearby with its door open. Thinking it might be a way to escape, he quickly gets inside, but someone is already sitting there, the same man who later arrives at the store asking for batteries. The man immediately points a gun at William's head, and before the boy can say anything, he strikes him and knocks him unconscious. After some time, William regains consciousness. The first thing he sees is the gun still aimed at his head. The man coldly orders him to remove his jacket. William hesitates, unsure of what the man wants, but to intimidate him, the man fires a shot into the ground. Fear takes over, and William slowly removes his jacket. He explains that his name is William, that he is 18 years old, and that his entire family has already died during the outbreak. But the man's demands don't stop there. He orders William to remove the rest of his clothes as well. William refuses at first, insisting that he isn't infected and that he won't turn into a zombie. The man fires another threatening shot, forcing William to obey. William believes the man is checking his body for infection marks. There is a wound on William's hand, and he explains that it was caused by broken glass. But as William turns around, he notices the man removing his own pants. At that moment, the situation becomes horrifyingly clear. What follows leaves William completely powerless, and the man uses the moment to dominate him. Later, in the present timeline, we see the same man outside the store installing the battery into his car. While inside, William remains with the store owner. The owner asks him a simple question: why didn't he run away? William quietly answers that he tried many times, but every attempt ended the same way. Another flashback begins. William is running through a deserted area, his hands still locked in handcuffs. He manages to hide inside a house, hoping to escape, but the man eventually finds him there after recognizing William's cap. Inside the house, William finds a tool and prepares to attack him, thinking it might be his only chance to escape. However, before he can act, the man grabs him and restrains him. Instead of immediately attacking, the man suddenly asks about the wound on William's hand. William is confused, almost shocked that someone would even ask about his condition. He explains that it was only a cut from a branch and not a zombie bite. The man accepts the explanation calmly, but the man's control over William becomes even more disturbing. He forces William into humiliating situations simply to assert dominance over him, treating him less like a person and more like something he owns. During this moment, the man is coughing repeatedly, something that initially seems like a small, unimportant detail. However, the truth soon becomes clear. The wound on William's hand was not from glass or a branch. It was actually a zombie bite, and the man had already realized it. He tells William that if the infection spreads, he may have to cut off William's hand before he turns into a zombie. While hearing this, William can only think about how he ended up trapped in such a nightmare. The story then moves forward to a motel where both of them are staying in a room. William sits there in pain, crying quietly. The man asks him why he is crying. William replies that his body hurts because of what the man did to him. At this point, William has started to accept the reality of his situation. Later, William mentions that he feels like eating chocolate. The man casually replies that there is a town somewhere in the east where some shops might still be open. He suggests that they travel there the next day and get as much chocolate as William wants. Then he says something strange. If William wants to run away, he can try tomorrow, because right now William is still useful to him. Back in the present, the store owner listens to everything in shock and asks William if he is asking for help. William simply shakes his head and says that no one can really help him anymore. And then we goes in, another flashback that reveals more about their journey. The man begins coughing again, clearly struggling with his health. William tells him that he should take antibiotics, but the man refuses, saying he doesn't need them. William insists, asking why he keeps ignoring it when he is obviously sick. Hearing this, the man pauses and looks at him strangely, almost amused, asking if William has started worrying about him. Then he suddenly stops the car. William hesitates to step out at first, but when he looks ahead, he freezes. Something is hanging in the distance. As the man walks closer, the scene becomes clear. A body hanging from a rope, already turned into a zombie. It seems that the person realized the infection had taken over and chose to end their life before losing control. The man calmly places a gun into William's hands and tells him to aim. William refuses at first. He says he can't do it, but the man insists, forcing him to confront the moment. Eventually, William pulls the trigger. After the shot echoes through the empty area, William collapses to the ground, trembling. The man asks him if it was the first time he had killed someone. William quietly replies that it wasn't. Before this, he had already killed his own mother. William explains what happened to his family. His little sister was the first to become infected, and the virus spread through her to his father, and eventually to his mother. When his mother tried to attack him after turning, William had no choice but to kill her. The revelation comes suddenly and without emotion, but the weight behind it is heavy. The manga panels during this moment are extremely dark and expressive, showing the silent emotional chaos inside William. Even after shooting the zombie, William asks the man if he's ever afraid of anything. The man answers unexpectedly. He isn't afraid of zombies or death, but he is afraid of the dark. It is a strange confession from someone capable of such brutal actions. Sometime later, the story returns to the same motel where they had been staying. William asks for water, but while looking outside the window, he notices that the car's headlights are still on. Worried that the battery will drain, he goes to inform the man. But when he reaches the bathroom, he finds him collapsed on the floor, unconscious. William tries to wake him and quickly realizes the truth. The man has already been infected. In panic, William grabs the gun and aims it at his head, ready to shoot before he turns into a zombie. But he can't bring himself to pull the trigger. He hesitates, thinking that if the man transforms, he will kill him. Suddenly, the man wakes up and tells William to remove the safety on the gun. He calmly tells him to shoot him right there. It becomes clear that he must have been infected much earlier and had been hiding it the entire time. William angrily asks if that's the only reason he kept him around, so someone would eventually kill him when the time came. The man responds that he couldn't just abandon him in the middle of the apocalypse. Leaving William alone would have meant certain death anyway. Even in that moment, he casually tells William that he is cute, as if the situation isn't serious at all. William's reaction reveals another darker side of his character. At one point, he even threatens the man, saying he won't let him die so easily and that he could still make use of his corpse. But instead of killing him, William treats his wounds, bandages his arm, and ties him up as a precaution in case he turns into a zombie during the night. Then he lies down beside him and falls asleep. It raises an unsettling question. Did William tie him up only to protect himself, or was there something more complicated behind that decision? Back in the present at the convenience store, the shop owner listens to the entire story with growing disgust and fear. He realizes that the man outside, the one who came to buy the battery, must already be infected. Panicking, the owner grabs his pump shotgun, preparing for the worst. But before he can act, William suddenly interrupts him. William calmly admits that he lied about the whole story. According to him, he simply wanted to eat chocolate peacefully and pass some time. With that, he says goodbye, leaving the shop owner confused and disturbed. And with that moment, the first story of the manga Boys of the Dead comes to an end. So now let's talk about my review in short about this. So, as a short manga chapter, this story works surprisingly well as a zombie dystopian narrative. The setting feels heavily inspired by the atmosphere of classic Western zombie films. The relationship between William and the man is clearly disturbing and morally twisted, but the story also hints at a strange form of connection between them. It is messy, uncomfortable, and far from romantic. And even though William claims the entire story was just something he made up to pass time, it's obviously a bullshit, and the events we saw were real.